I want to say good evening to Facebook. I have Instagram going. I have my YouTube going. But hello to everybody who's available online and who is signing on. So this evening's show is entitled, I Am Not My Hair. That is why I have on this lovely hair piece. Y'all like that? Y'all getting into this red? Give me some hearts if you see the red hair. Let's get this evening started. So this evening's topic is I am not my hair. And so that is the reason I have decided to adorn this beautiful red hair, because we're about to talk about the seriousness or the serious topic of hair choices in corporate America. But I wanted to start, thank you Danny, I wanted to start with talking about some incidents that I believe have become, they are the result of what we see in corporate America. So as we've just started the school year, I looked up a couple of cases that you see where students were put out of school due to their hairstyles. And so a lot of it, you know, at first we think, okay, that's just the black students, that's just the black kids. But no, it is not just the black kids. There are white children that have also been dismissed from school because of the hairstyle that they've chosen to wear. So the hairstyle that the white children have chosen to wear that had become very popular was called the Meet Me at McDonald's. And I thought it was so funny when I researched it, but it is the hairstyle where it's cut short on the side. It's like a 0 or a 1, if you know haircut levels. So for a barber it would either be a 0 or a 1 on the side, and then they have the top that's very curly. It's either like permed curly or some type of texture style at the top. So it's called the Meet Me at McDonald's, and several schools have outlawed or banned that haircut banned students from wearing that sort of haircut. So let me go back just quickly, give you a couple of quick facts. Y'all love my fan, I love my fan. Y'all like that noise. Everybody hates when I do that. But anyway, so we're gonna go on back to 2017, where 2 students were threatened with suspension and detention at the Malden Charter High School for wearing braids, which the administrator said that the braids violated their dress code. So now we all know, especially African American mothers, you guys know that braids are a very, they are very convenient. They are a very convenient hairstyle for our young ladies to wear to school, especially when you have young ladies with very natural hair or very coarse, kinky, curly hair. It is one of the better styles that can give them longevity, where they are not, the hair is just not all over the place. They look well kempt, they look very nice, they are very stylish. And the issue that we are seeing, or that what the school saw, was that having the hair braided with extensions became the issue. Now I'll tell you this, I see, because I work in the salon, I see a lot of young ladies, when they get their hair done, the first thing they want to do is start swinging, you know, swinging it back and forth. And we know that that can become distracting, especially when you are a young lady in class. You don't want to be swinging, the teachers do not want the students swinging their hair, you know, hitting other students with it, playing with it all the time, so it becomes a distraction. And so that's where the teachers feel that long hair should not be allowed. But fast forward, 2 students, 2 twin girls that were at Mystic Valley Regional School, they were served with detention on multiple days of the week, where the administrator cited again that they had violated the school's dress code policy by having their hair braided in extensions. So now I don't know if you guys remember, this was a hot video on Facebook and on social media, because I watched it, and I watched it over and over again because I felt bad for the young lady, because she was very upset. She was crying because they took her out of the classroom. They pulled her from the classroom, and they showed you her walking down the hallway, and she was basically expelled from the school for wearing that particular hairstyle. And let's see, now 2 other mothers also in 2017 2017 said that their children, the two mothers reported that the children of color or biracial children were subjected to discipline and questioning at another school regarding their particular hairstyle. Now let me tell you this. This is to I would say administrators and students, administrators and teachers. If you have a problem with what a child wears or how their hairstyle is or anything of the like, it is not for you to question the child. Let me say that just one more time. If you have an issue with what the child is wearing, if you have an issue with what the child has going on in their hair, it is not for you to question the child. It is for you to question the parent, because the parent, 9 times out of 10, has told the child to do thus and so. So the parent says, put this on to go to school if the child is not in uniform. If the child has their hair in a particular style, 9 times out of 10, the parent was there when the child got the hairstyle at the stylist or the barber. So it is for you to question the parent, not the child, because the child cannot give you an answer 9 times out of 10 that is going to be acceptable to you. And your fault should not be with the child, it should be with the parent, because the parent is the one who reads the regulations for the school. The parents are the one who governs what the child wears and how their hair is done. Now, of course, you have those extenuating circumstances where the parent may leave the house before the child, and the child puts on something and they go to school. Again, you may point it out to the child that they know that they're out of dress code, but it is not, I don't believe that it is for you to say, why would you do that if you know you're not supposed to? Why? No, that you don't do that to a child. You question the parent, you call the parent. That is why you have the contact information. You call the parent and you make sure that the parent is aware of what is going on and that the child is in violation of whatever code. So we're going to fast forward a whole nother year up to 2018, where an 11-year-old was expelled from school as the administrators again cited that her hair extensions, her braids, had violated the school policy. And then I read another article this year, just this school year, where an African American student was asked to leave the school because of a graphic art that was in his head. Now again, we're very creative. We want our children to be very creative. We want them to show and express their individuality. However, when we know that certain things aren't allowed, we should not do them. Now, if the parent was not aware that the child was not to have graphic art or any type of design work in their head, if the parent was not aware, it's a simple fix. When you tell the parent can easily go to the barbershop and have them remove the graphic art from the head just by cutting the hair very low, and it will remove the graphic art that has been placed in the head, as long as there has not been any color work or anything like that done. But if you're talking about a child, then there should not be any color work or anything like that in the head at that type of age. You save that for when the child is a teenager. Things like that are more acceptable in high school and things and whatnot, those type of ages, but not when the child is 11 and 10. To me, that is inappropriate, and it again can become a distraction. I'll say this: I used to work at a youth facility where it was it was a youth detention facility. And we used to provide haircuts and hairstyles for the men and women, or the young ladies and young men that were in there. And one of the things that came up in there when we would do the haircuts is providing the graphic work in the head, because some of our barbers, they were very good, and that was what they wanted to practice. And so they said, well, thank you very much, Tanya. Tell Omar I said hello and thank you for that comment. They said to us, when you're doing these the juveniles' head, you are not allowed to put graphic art in their head, because we would do whatever they asked. If they said, oh, give me a star, we would put a star. Oh, give me a heart, we would do a heart. Yellow moon, green clover, blue diamond, purple horseshoe, all that kind of stuff we would put in the head. You like that? It was the Lucky Charms. We would put all that in the head, and they said, no, you cannot do that, because some of the symbols that they may ask you to do may have certain gang affiliations. And because we break down all of that when they come in here, we don't want them to have those type of attachments when they're inside here. They are to get a basic haircut. They can get a nice fade, they can get a burst fade, they can get the this, the that, and all that kind of stuff. But no type of art that may be misconstrued as a gang affiliation can they have. So we had to stop doing the graphic art altogether because we said we didn't even want to get involved in that. We did not want to be accused any further of perpetuating any type of gang affiliations by doing that kind of artistic work for the students. So, that was the end of that. So so I understand that you cannot, I understand certain reasons why certain haircuts and styles are not acceptable, but when it comes to braids and it comes to like basic styling, like to me, this Meet Me at McDonald's, I understand that it happens to be a style that has been emulated from a rapper, and they're saying that the rapper is not such a positive person that they would want the students to emulate that. Now, one of the things that the schools did cite as a reason as to why they do that, they said while they promote individuality, they don't want students to get caught up in the culture of, expense. And so when certain students are able to get their hair braided and they have it braided all the way down to the butt and whatnot, and then you have another student that may not be able to afford that, they don't want that student to feel bad. Now, this is where I believe it becomes a sticky situation. Because my child, I would not want necessarily punished because another child cannot afford. However, especially when it comes to something as hair care. If we're talking about like certain clothes items, like if you're talking about $200 and $300 sneakers, no, I would not necessarily want my child, well, I want my child, but I'm not a parent, so parents don't kill me, but I would like my child to be super fabulous and fashionable when they go to school. And so I would love for my child to have on a pair of Louboutin sneakers when they go to high school. That would be fabulous because that would be fashion, and I love fashion. However, I do understand that ticket item is, people know how much that costs, and so it does draw attention to the cost factor when it comes to students in school, and that can become a distraction. I'll say this, I went to a prep school when I was in New Jersey, and the headmaster, excuse me, they required us to wear a certain type of sneaker for gym. Now, I was excited because I was used to wearing like colorful sneakers and all that kind of stuff. So when I went to high school and they said, okay, well, you have to wear a Converse Chuck Taylor sneaker for gym, I was like, Converse Chuck Taylor, first of all, what is it? Because I didn't even know what it was. So once I found out what it was, I was like, okay, this is not even a sneaker. This is like a casual shoe. Like, how can you do any type of athletic activity in this type of shoe? It has no kind of support. It's just a basic sneaker with a hard bottom that's just flat as a board. It was nothing to the sneaker. But the headmaster said two things. One reason they made us wear it because they said it does not mark up the gym floor. All these other sneakers with these colors and whatnot, when you're running, when you're playing basketball, when you slide on the floor and skid, it leaves marks on the floor. So he was very conscious about that gym floor. Number two, though, he also said that it removes the expense factor when it comes to what a student pays. So what they tried to create a culture in the school where we all had on similar items so that we all basically kind of looked the same and the cost factor was removed. And see, that's what I believe that the schools are trying to do with these hairstyles. Now, when it comes to hair, though, that to me, no. Now, what we can say when it comes to hair is they may not have, say, hair extensions, loose hair extensions, because that can become an issue. That, causes young ladies to combing and brushing and all that kind of stuff and swinging and carrying on. When it comes to braids, I believe that the braids can also be to a limit. Yes, adding the hair to a braid lets the braid last longer, It makes it very neat. It also makes it very stylish. But we can say, we can't ban hair extensions when it comes to braid, but let's say we don't allow young ladies to have hair extensions that go beyond say here. Are we in agreement with that? Let me know. Let me see the hearts and let me see how you feel about that, because I believe that everything is okay but to a limit. So we braid it down and it may only need to stop here. That way, you know, they're still allowed to have it. I don't see any hearts, so I'm guessing that y'all not feeling that. Let me know what you think about it. Tell me, you know, give me your thoughts, because that's my thought process, that everything is okay but to a limit. Oh, okay, thank you. First, Queenie, you can't take my wig, girl. You can't take my wig. But anyway, so what I'm saying is that having it braided to a certain length, you know, should be okay. Now, if to the excess, like down to the butt, things like that, I think that's a little bit in excess for young ladies. It does something, it makes them look a little older than necessary at a young age. But then also, in my opinion, when hair goes down to the butt, it kind of looks, it causes the eye to draw towards that area. And I think for young ladies that that's not appropriate, that we should not do anything that's going to draw that kind of attention to a young lady's body. When you look at ladies on the videos and the music videos and whatnot, and they have the weaves all the way down to the butt, there's a reason for that. It's not just for fashion. There's a reason. Hair has movement. Hair draws the eye. And when it's positioned in a certain way, you have that weave all the way down the back and it's touching the butt, it's drawing your eye to the butt. So braids age appropriate to the shoulder. Thank you very much, Tanya. So I think we need to know what we're doing when we do certain things. So again, for young ladies, the braids to the shoulder level, or I'm saying but beyond the shoulder level, to me that is appropriate. But let's move forward, because what I wanted to do, I entitled this segment real quick, and I'm going to try to wrap it up in the next 8 minutes. I entitled it, I Am Not My Hair. And the reason was because when you look at the standards in corporate America, and that's why I put on this beautiful wig this evening, something like this would be a hairstyle, or not a hairstyle, but yeah, a hairstyle that would not be deemed appropriate in certain corporate structures. A lot of companies will say that you can have hair in any particular style that you want. However, it has to be in a natural hair color, right? So the thing is, we get in trouble when we want to color our hair all these different colors, and a company may say, well, we don't see that as appropriate because that does not fit what we stand for. And then what we do is we yell discrimination. Let me know from your point of view, is that a form of discrimination? So while you're doing that, I'm going to say this. I took some notes. It says, rocking my natural hair in corporate America. If a company cannot appreciate you and your natural self, they do not deserve all the brilliance that is you. That came from a young lady who, her company gave her some pushback when she decided to wear her natural hair. So she had been in weaves, she had been in braids, you know, pinned up and all this kind of stuff. She decided she wanted to take it out, cut her hair. She started rocking a little short natural bush. She said a lot of people at the company started looking at her funny, started looking at her very different, like, I don't know. She said some people were so brazen to come up to her and say, you know, so I like the way you used to wear your hair. When are you going to change it back like that? First of all, how dare you? How dare you? How dare you come up to me and ask me, when am I going to wear my hair again the way that I previously wore it? Why is that any of your business? So my thing is, I think number one, that's a sensitivity issue, because I think that is very bold to ask. But then a lot of times I push those bold things, I push it off on ignorance. Ignorance meaning that you don't know that that's inappropriate, that you don't know that you're not supposed to ask people stuff like that, that you don't know that you're out of order, okay? So is corporate America ready for natural hair is the question. Do you think that corporate America is really ready for it? I think we're now going through this change where it's becoming a little more acceptable. Now, my personal feeling on it is there's a thin line. I'm all for natural hair. And for a minute, I was like, I fell into the pot with everybody else. I'm like, natural hair, especially in corporate, because, you know, you're supposed to look polished, you're supposed to look well-groomed. And it took me a minute to kind of see that natural hair really can look polished, well-groomed, even in its natural state. The one issue that I do have is when we don't know what to do with our hair texture. So let's just say African American hair runs the gamut when it comes to texture. You have to know what to do with your hair and what your hair can do. Can I get an amen to that? Do y'all like that? You have to know what to do with your hair and what your hair can do. Because the issue that I see a lot of times is, well, let me just say, one article, it said that the company told the lady, well, okay, so this was her specific issue. She went on an interview. She had her hair in locks. She interviewed very well. The company wanted to offer her a position. The company said, the HR person called and said, hey, the company wants to offer you a position, but did you have your hair in locks? So she said, yes. And so they said, well, they want to offer you the position. Do you have any intention of cutting your locks? She said, no. The HR representative again said, well, they really want to offer you the position, but locks are against the policy here because they feel that they can get messy and unkempt. Now, let me stop for a second. I'll just say this. For a long time, I did not care for locks for myself. That was one style that I had done. If you ever go through my Facebook, you'll see all these different hairstyles, but one style that it took me forever to venture on was locks. And that was because of what I saw. I often saw many people that had locks. The locks were not well maintained, in my opinion. And so because that was what I was exposed to. Now, mind you, this was very young. This was before I became a hairstylist. I was very young and looking at the people that I saw in my city, and I said, that's not for me. Everything is not for you. Everything you see is not for you. Everything that's in a store is not for you. Every style that you see on somebody else is not for you. And I said, no, locks was not for me. But it took me to run into people where actually what happened first was my mother came to me and said, there's this guy downtown. He looks so nice every day. He's dressed nice in his suit and he has locks. His locks are so well maintained. And because she knew that that was one of my desires, was to have locks, but I just could not fathom not having like the bushiness in the root and, you know, the extra fuzzy and all that kind of stuff. I just couldn't fathom it at that time. And so I did not get locks. What she told me, she said, so you can do it. You just have to be responsible to keep it maintained, to keep it up, to keep it looking nice, to keep the appearance that you want to have. And so I said, oh, okay, you know, and I ended up seeing the guy one day and I was like, he does look very nice with his locks, well maintained, whatnot. Still did not venture to do it. It wasn't until I moved to DC that I decided that because I was actually in the process of becoming a licensed stylist, that if I could not get to a hairstylist, I could do it myself. But I entrusted my hair to a young lady in DC. Her name is Andrell Melvin. So if anybody knows Andrell, tell her I said hello. She used to have a salon off of Rhode Island Avenue called Girlfriends. Andrell started my hair, and you know, she did an amazing job keeping my hair up, and I felt like I always looked super neat, well maintained, well manicured, and I was very proud of my locks. And I sported my locks for about 3 to 4 years, and then I decided that as they were about to my shoulder, I was like, I want some longer hair. So I did this lock extension, and that was like the last little bit of it. And a couple of months later, I cut them because I really just wanted to have the style. I wanted the experience of having locks to see what it was like. And so once I did, I was fine and I was able to move on. So to me, you know, you have to decide, how do you want your locks? Do you want them to be well maintained, or is it a part of a culture that you subscribe to that they may not be? But in the sense of the young lady and the job, so when she said that she would not, she had no intention of cutting her locks, unfortunately she did not get the job because they rescinded the offer, citing that their policy was that the people were not able to have locks. Which brings me to a story that I saw online that a gentleman posted in a Facebook group that I'm a part of, where a lawyer also, while he was in law school, his professors and the school, they encouraged him to cut his locks because they said, you know, you're going to stifle yourself. You're not going to get as far because people are not going to want to hire you. They're not going to want to interact with you. Companies and firms are not going to want to bring you on because you have locks. This is not deemed as a professional style in the corporate culture. He decided not to cut his locks. He has been practicing for a couple of years. I think the article said he was like somewhere in Alabama, if I'm not mistaken. But he's been practicing. But what he also decided to do was open his own firm so that he would not have to deal with the rigors and the discrimination of the larger firms where they wanted to dictate what he looked like in order to be a part of their firm. He decided to open his own small firm, and he's been doing that ever since. So one other point that I wanted to pull out is that hair is an extension of the body. It grows out of your head, and by that thought, it can never be unprofessional. Everyone and everyone's hair is different. It is individual, and it is individual to each person's identity. So if anybody says that your hair is unprofessional, you have to let them know there's nothing unprofessional about your hair. But one thing that I did want to pull out about that statement is your hair is not unprofessional. However, your styling can be deemed unprofessional. So I would say, let me know what you guys feel about that, because, you know, that was my thought. So I'm in agreement with a corporate culture. Now, I mentioned, I think last week, that my degree is in HR management, and so I kind of understand the position of the company, that they want to create a certain culture, they want to create a certain identity, because a company becomes a brand, and anybody that works for the company is a part of that brand, and they want to make sure that everybody that is a part stands for and reinforces the brand that they've created. With that being said, let's fast forward to this hair. So I'm not sure if I have a Fortune 500 company that I would necessarily want someone with this hair sitting at my front desk. Now, the reason being because when you, in certain corporate cultures, it's not that they want to remove the identity, they want to create a certain look. Now, the look does not necessarily have to be, you have to have relaxed hair, your hair has to be long, it has to be this or that. However, they don't want anything that is going to be distracting from anything else that's going on. This has been part 1 of Sheer Chat episode 2. Please join us for part 2 right after these messages.